Welcome to today's serving of halo halo. And just like the Filipino dessert, the show is a mix of all things delightful, from entertainment to food, information, and everything in between, with my own Filipino-American twist. I'm Iniba. Thank you for joining us. On today's episode, we cover the very first Manila International Film Festival in Los Angeles. Filipina actress Liza Soberano makes her Hollywood film debut in Lisa Frankenstein, and we switch gears with food. Lumpia Mania is taking over SoCal, and we have all the details. Plus, we have some food for your soul with the Pan de Sol podcast. Kicking things off is the inaugural Manila International Film Festival, which was held on January 29th through February 2nd in Los Angeles. It was a star-studded event and showcased the 10 films that were entries in last December's Metro Manila Film Festival. Here's a look at the movies and the winners. Honorees at the festival include GMA Pictures' fantasy drama Firefly, which took home 4 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director for Zig Dulay, Best Supporting Actress for Alessandra De Rossi, and Best Screenplay for Angeli Atienza.
Pakiramdam ko, nung bata ko, buhay yung mga story ng nanay ko.
Tandaan mo, Tonton, pag nakarating ka na doon, matutupad ang hiling mo.
The historical drama Gumburza snagged the second Best Picture award, Best Cinematography for Carlo Canlas Mendoza, and the Audience Favorite Award. Gumburza follows the life of 3 native Filipino Roman Catholic priests during the Spanish colonial era in the Philippines.
Huwag kang magulat ko sa darating na panahon ay ikaw din ang paratangan ay rebelde, anti-Espanyol, anti-Iglesia. Ang importante, gawin mo ang tama.
Pedro, di ba kayo natatakot?
Bakit ako matatakot magsabi ng totoo?
The comedy Becky and Bidette received the Special Jury Prize for its LGBTQIA cultural sensitivity and awareness.
Natanggap mo na ba yung imbitasyon dun para sa high school reunion natin? Di ba natin talaga pupuntahan yun?
Oh, but you have to be there. Exclusive sa Section 1 ang reunion na to.
I think we have guests.
Remember nung high school tayo, they were the toast of the entire school. And now, they just look like losers. Hey, life's a bitch, and so am I!
Becky!
What is she doing?
Makinig kayong mabuti. May ibubulgar kaming sekreto.
Kung mga madam, lahat ng pinagsasabi nyo dito, imbento nyo lang.
Lakas ang trip natin dyan, bestie.
Kasi tayo naglasing, nakakaya. Halos 1 million views na to.
Vilma Santos's role in the romantic film When I Met You in Tokyo garnered her the Best Actress Award.
Bastos to Hindi man lang nag-sorry.
The grandest comeback of the season.
Te, mag-clubbing naman tayo, te. Sige na, birthday mo naman, tsaka baka doon tayo makahanap ng papa.
Ay, give up na ako dyan. Alam niyo yun.
Huwag kayo nagwawala dito. Eh, di ba? Ang gugulo ninyo eh. Lalo ka na.
Anong pakialam mo? Sino ka ba? Doon sa puko. Ano? Akala mo na ako lalaban sa'yo?
The most awaited reunion of the year.
Bakit ang ulo ko? Kasi naman kayo pa-club-club pa. Wala akong hilig dyan.
Doon sa labas, alika na! Na napakakaya!
Ha?
Bakit parang nakakita ka ng multo, bruha?
Sandali.
While Piolo Pascual and Ding Dong Dantes tied for the Best Actor prize. Pascual for his role in the horror Malari, where he plays a priest charged with the murder of 57 people. And Ding Dong Dantes for playing a husband longing for a second chance in Rewind. Also receiving an award from the film Rewind is Pepe Herrera as Best Supporting Actor. Veteran actress Hilda Coronel received MIF's first Monty Manibog Lifetime Achievement Award for her long-standing acting career in Philippine cinema. Congratulations to the Manila International Film Festival for a successful event. I'm sure it's the first of many. Welcome back to Halo Halo. Many of you know what lumpia is, but what about a lumpia burger? Well, if you don't, you're gonna wanna head to Glendora to try out Lumpia Mania. What used to be the historic Wonder Bread factory is now the public Glendora Marketplace, a food hall that includes ramen, boba, fried chicken, and Lumpia Mania by Phil-Am entrepreneur Robert Calixto, the man behind the famous lumpia burger.
I cook for my kids. I cook like, of course, lumpia all the time. But we always made it with beef and always a lot of meat in it. Always like make sure if you bring it to parties, you're proud of it, right? And then I would make the lumpia, and then one day we ran out of the wrappers, and I'll just make it into a patty and burger. And then I just got a couple of, Wonder Bread, whatever, and made it into, put some mayo, and then gave it to the kids. My kids are probably around 7 or 8 or something like that. And so, but they work here, by the way.
I love it.
So we ended up, they ended up loving the burger. And then from that moment on, they kept calling it Lumpia Burger. Another month later, maybe a couple months later, I make it again. And now they're asking for the Lumpia Burger. And then I ended up, I had some leftover pan de sal.
Okay.
And then we tried it with the pan de sal, and they loved it even more. So then they would constantly ask for it.
The lumpia burger features double meat that is seasoned to perfection using different types of onions, water chestnuts, and their own secret seasoning, topped with mayo, melted cheese, bacon, sandwiched with buttered pandesal, and a bit of sriracha for a nice kick.
That's so good.
Right?
It's so good.
Simple.
The lumpia burger isn't the only thing on the menu. Their lumpias are made with a generous amount of meat instead of pork and offers the same great seasonings with vinegar or their homemade sweet chili sauce. Other items on the menu include the naked lumpia salad, sinigang soup on the weekends, tocino breakfast, and more. Got a sweet tooth? Don't forget to order turon, their 1977 flan, or the halo halo. Coming up, Robert Calixto dishes on his inspiration for Lumpia Mania and what he envisions for the future. Welcome back to Halo Halo. Before the break, we dished on all the food you can order at Lumpia Mania. Now let's get up close and personal with Robert Calixto, the man behind the counter. Food runs in the family for Robert, with both his parents spending time in the kitchen perfecting their dishes. He and his sisters naturally followed in their footsteps, opening Taste of Manila in 2004, a sit-down Filipino restaurant in Anaheim while working full-time in real estate and construction.
Us four, my 2 sisters and myself and my brother, we cook like my parents. Like, it's just like, you know what I mean?
It's in your blood.
Yeah, it's not so much like the cooking part. It's like if you know what tastes good. I always tell people, like, if you're a good reader, you'll be a better writer. See what I mean? Than everybody.
Yeah.
So if you're a good eater, you'll be a better cook. You know what I mean? So for them, for my sisters, they always like pushed us to help. So they're very, very like independent women, that type of thing. I ended up actually helping her with the restaurant, but I ended up getting out of that business because I told her I can't be here.
You can't juggle.
So I felt like I failed the industry in a way.
Oh.
Like I didn't really conquer it.
Right.
So it was always in the back of my head to like,
come back.
If I get a chance, and then but I'm gonna get to control everything. So like make sure like it's my operation, it's my food, whatever.
Right.
Even though my sister's stuff were amazing. Fast forward to 2015, my dad passes away, and I go to Vegas, and I come back, and my head was just like in a weird place. I started writing all of this down, and then the funny thing is, this is gonna sound very Filipino because we like names, we like names. It was gonna be lumpia something.
Right.
Because I was thinking of the burger and the big size lumpias, right, beef too. And I thought, Lumpia Mania, because my mom's initials, my mom and dad's, my dad's Lamberto and my mom's Mercedes, and they always wrote it.
Yeah.
The logo has had that L exactly like that. So it was kind of very personal, Last year happened, and it's just been, it's like a freight train. All I got to do is get out of the way and just have everybody help me push it.
Right,
because,
that is wonderful.
Yeah. We had a tasting party at my house last year, and we had 2 of them, one right after the other. And I thought, okay, everybody's gonna love my lumpias, right?
Right.
Burger, maybe, yeah, whatever. And then at the end of the day, my kids were like, I told you that, we told you, because everybody was patting me in the back going, oh my God, that burger, Robert. You gotta open a restaurant. Going, oh yeah, it was like that.
Pop-ups and tasting parties soon followed before opening up the brick and mortar.
We had a couple of parties and everybody was loving the burgers, There was a party I went to and I made the burgers and some lady was like, he goes, what are you doing? You don't have a restaurant? This is like the best burger I ever had. I knew we had something there.
Yes.
Right? Our goal here is to not sell to Filipinos only. Part of the reason why I'm also doing this is because more than 10 years ago, in the same year I think, Anthony Bourdain and Bizarre Foods guy, Zimmer. I remember watching this thing where he's eating balut and he's talking about how practical it was for people, for our people, whatever. Because it's like a chicken soup. And that's the way I looked at it when I was a kid. I never ate the whole thing. I just sucked up the. But the point is, they said Filipino food was going to be the next big thing.
That was 15 years ago.
Exactly.
We're still waiting.
Exactly. So, hopefully.
Slowly but surely. Robert's main goal for Lumpia Mania is to introduce lumpia and Filipino food to the rest of America. And he's off to a great start with opening Lumpia Mania in the Carson Dignity Health Sports Park, home to the LA Galaxy. What's your vision, like 5-10 years from now? What do you want
to be honest, like 3 years from now, my goal is to have 100 locations in California. I'm not even joking. 100 locations, I think we can do it. And probably not sell everything, probably just like in and out the whole thing, just simplify with the burgers and the lumpia.
Yeah.
That's all you need. I can say it now, but we're doing paperwork to be in the Dignity Health Sports Park in with LA Galaxy in Carson. Yeah, in Carson.
Yes.
And I wasn't trying to be in Carson, it just so happened, right? So the guy came here and loved the food. The guy was in charge of the food there. Cool guy. He came in, brought his family. Robert, we want diversity, blah, blah, blah.
And it's perfect in a sports arena, or it's perfect in that complex,
easier than a hot
like
dog.
a burger or lumpia.
Easier than a hot dog. You just, dip it and you eat it and,
Or have a burger.
Exactly. So hopefully the vision really is to put lumpia on the map. Our mission is, it says on our business plan, it says to bring lumpia and Filipino food into the American mainstream. All that does is any Filipino can open a restaurant and people would know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can go anywhere.
Thank you to Robert Calixto and the team at Lumpia Mania. If you're ever in the city of Glendora or live near the area, make sure to check them out and let them know that you saw their segment on Halo Halo. Pandesol is a podcast hosted by 3 friends, magician Dremagix, musician Fictitious Professor, and space and facilities planner EJ Billyman, as they discuss everyday challenges, big and small, with heart and humor through a Filipino-American lens. We sat down with Dremagix and EJ Billyman and executive producer Christian Reasonado to learn more.
What's up, Pandis? You're listening to the Pandesol Podcast.
Join us as we unpack the flavors of being Filipino
and American. Guilt is the seasoning of Phil-Am life.
We've always had the question of I'm not Filipino enough, I'm not. And here's the thing, like our personal experience is there is not really a qualification for being Filipino. If you have it in your heart, like why are you even measuring the amount of Filipino you are, as long as you support the communities, you try and uplift the culture.
Pandesol Podcast is basically a comedy podcast about life as a Filipino American.
We talk about really good stuff. We talk about toxic stuff. We talk about what traumas we have. We talk about what loves we have, what common grounds we got.
What was the thing again? No. Pandesol Podcast is Filipino.
Oh yeah, your
Filipino
tagline.
stories.
Pandesol Podcast is Filipino creativity with American goggle.
So it's a careful mix of those two.
Yeah.
And 60 episodes. This is actually my first time being in front of the camera because I'm always behind the camera for On This Whole Podcast as a producer and director. But it's always a fun time. It's basically what I want to hear for a Filipino-American podcast. What I love most about the podcast, thank you so much for that wonderful question. I believe that
the children are our future.
Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride. And I think that's what we're doing in the On This Whole Podcast. No. What I really like about On This Whole is that they're just so authentic. Because again, as a director and producer, I've worked with most of the personality types already. And I've been in the media and entertainment industry for going 14 years now. And I've worked with a lot of people, well, Filipinos mostly. But, in media and entertainment, there's that facade, the superficial side of it, which is, most of the time it's actually entertaining, it's funny, it's nice to look at, it's visually pleasing. But then you don't get to feel it. You don't get to, what do you call that? Hindi mo siya ramdam. You don't get to feel it, right? You don't get to feel it. But then On This Whole, it helps that I am actually friends with them. But then they're also talking about stuff that aren't normally talked about by Filipino podcasters. And so I think that's it too.
Yeah, I think when we started the On This Whole Podcast, we didn't mean to follow the mold of other podcasting. I didn't want the best actors I'm like, who are the people I laugh the most with? Who do I have the best time with? And that's my friends. Who do I want to work with me? Who do I want to work as a team? And I think that's why we've been able to go so long, is because it doesn't promise anything other than what it is. Right? We don't put it up on this thing. We're just people talking about our experiences.
Yeah. And I get the lucky job of editing it after it happens.
Why was that sarcastic?
No, I mean,
it sounded sarcastic.
I'm so lucky. No, I'm really lucky because what we talk about during the podcast is heartfelt, is funny, all that stuff, and I get to relive it again. And you see me in my studio just laughing, crying, or whatever, tears going down, crying out of laughter, guys. Come on. But I will tear up sometimes. There are some times where I would.
Well, I'm talking about accessibility and exposure and visibility for Filipinos and Filipino Americans, right? And this kind of an event, it's actually detrimental to culture, to how people other than Filipinos perceive what Filipinos are, who the Filipinos are, and putting this here, having performances outside, different, there are some staple cuisines that it's integral to the Filipino culture, and they're exposing it here in a demographic of mostly non-Filipinos. And I think that's how you assert identity, how you assert a culture, how you assert Filipino-American. And it's actually, we're making history. Because again, we are doing a live podcast in a mall. And we're Filipinos, and we're talking about the Filipino culture or the Filipino stories. And I think that's something that, it's complementing what FAM is all about.
Yeah, it's unexpected. It's what we want. It's spectacle, right? You guys came and you walked and you were curious enough to look at it at least. And isn't that the start of representation? It doesn't have to be on a big movie screen, right? You just got to see people doing stuff, and that's enough. The permission to try is so important,
Yeah. And this is something that's kind of, for me, out of my comfort zone. So being able to do something like this with the people that you care about, that you enjoy, it's great. On top of course, what they're saying.
all the good stuff too.
All the good stuff too.
All the good stuff.
Liza Soberano made her Hollywood film debut in Lisa Frankenstein, a movie written by Academy Award winner Diablo Cody. Liza plays Taffy, the stepsister of the title lead character Lisa, an outcast at school who befriends and falls in love with a corpse.
Are you hot for anyone? Lisa! Does he have more of a basketball bod or a football bod?
He doesn't play sports.
I really love Taffy because she's such a fun character to play. She's very much like me. She's such a sweetheart. She's genuinely nice to everybody, no matter what the situation or circumstance is. And she loves life. I feel like she had such an amazing and just a happy upbringing, and so that's why she's very generous and genuine to everybody. But also she can't help the fact that she is her mother's child, and so there are instances where she talks a bit too much or doesn't say the right thing sometimes, but it's not coming from a place of malice intent. It's just that this is what she grew up hearing, and this is like the kind of mindset that she grew up around, and so sometimes it comes out, but she doesn't mean it in a mean way.
I'm really sorry you got electrocuted, Lisa. I'm fine. Let's wrap. How are you liking Brookview so far?
It's fine. It's the same as my old school.
Are you hot for anyone?
Taffy and Lisa. So the thing is, there is a lot of context behind them
Lisa.
because they are just
Lisa.
new sisters.
Lisa.
They grew up in different households, different upbringings, and are two completely different people. But the way that it is showcased or presented in the movie is in a very one-dimensional way, where like you have like the popular, cool sister that everybody sees as perfect, and then you have like the nerdy, quiet sister who everybody thinks is like a bit of a nuisance. But behind that, there's like such deeper context as to what they've experienced in their personal lives that makes them them. Taffy clearly sees, like she clearly understands what Lisa's been through, and she's very empathetic about that. But Lisa has gone through so much that I feel like she's kind of just shut herself out from the world and is not welcoming of anybody that wants to, you know, really be there for her and love her. And even though Taffy is constantly trying to show her that, it's just hard to break through because she just feels like everybody's out to get her, or everybody just doesn't understand her. And that's what makes it so magical, I think, because it's very realistic, I would say. For people who have experienced having step siblings, it is very hard to like penetrate through the emotional walls, emotional barriers, I would say. And I guess that's really what this movie showcases.
I tend to his grave.
I talked to him.
I wish I was with you. That's really weird, Lisa.
You hear that?
I'm sure it's the girl next door. She's very odd.
Lisa Frankenstein is out now. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for spending it with me. For more on Holo, you can check out our socials. Until next time, take care.